Nice.
Follower. And us. And everyone took. This episode is presented by my friend Joy in his co-working space, The Village.
Hi, we are The Village, a workshop, co-working and event space in Translaarburg, and also the house of Miskeo Parfums.
Check the links in the description. Toya, you're from Brazil. Yes. Why did you leave the beach for the bad weather of Berlin?
Well, I didn't live at the beach, so I think that was easier to do. Like from São Paulo to Berlin. I think Berlin felt like just like São Paulo, but with more green and with a even more like lively creative scene and bigger tattoo scene. So I think that was not that hard in the beginning. But I started coming here to guest for a few years. So it was not something like out of the blue. I came for the first time and I worked at a studio for the guest. And I made so many friends and met so many interesting people, got very inspired. And I felt like, okay, this could be really cool. Like it would be a nice experience. I could grow, I could learn. So then it took me some time to grow the courage and like to rationally think, okay, I think this can work. So just in 2019, just before Corona, I applied for my visa to come. It took me some time. There was Corona. So when I came, it was right in the middle. So I came really still when there were all the restrictions and the studios were closed. And it was a bit of like a chaotic time to move. Uh-huh. Luckily, I've been here before. Like I think there are many people that moved in that time and they didn't even know how the city was before. I had that idea at least, but it was chaotic with studios and what to do. So I started already spending more time in Amsterdam in the beginning, guesting, and then going back to Berlin. And in the end, I also ended up building a community in Amsterdam as well. So I was left with two. Nice like friends and communities and studios, and yeah, now I'm a bit in Berlin and a bit in Amsterdam.
And you came alone?
And I give it a...
Wow,
yeah.
But like, so you came from Brazil alone and then you created these two communities, so you had friends already in both cities?
Well, in Berlin, yes. Yeah. I had friends from all the guest spots during the years, but in Amsterdam, it was actually a love situation. In one of a guest spot in Amsterdam first, like in Salon Serpent, I spent a bit more time there and I fell in love with someone and with the city. So like this was before Corona and during all the lockdown and everything. When I finally moved, then it was also nice to spend more time there. And yeah, so I actually began in Amsterdam not knowing anybody apart from my like partner. And so it was really building up from zero, but I really loved the studio that I guested, like Salon Serpent. Mm-hmm. It was amazing at the time, and it was such a great opportunity to like just extend. So I was like from guesting 1 week to guesting 2 weeks, guesting 3 weeks, guesting a month, and becoming a resident, basically. But Berlin was the safe space. Like it was where all my friends were and the studio, which feels like family. And then Amsterdam was risky in the beginning, but yeah, it became bigger and bigger.
It sounds like a good balance. Yeah. And healthy and fun.
It is. Yeah, I think one city complements the other. Like Berlin, more chaotic, more crazy, more creative as well. Mm-hmm. And Amsterdam, for me, is more calm. It's somehow more like, I don't know, like more chill. I think my routine in Amsterdam is really like just biking to work, looking at flowers on the way, the canals, everything feels just more chill. And when I'm in Berlin, I think also because I've been spending less time here, it's always just more like so much to do, so many people to see. And yeah, it just gets more intense.
And how do you stay creative between the two cities? Because like I have the same with Switzerland, where I kind of like recharge when I'm there, because like Berlin is very intense. But like I see it this with Amsterdam, but like
Yeah.
how do you manage like also the stress living between both cities somehow?
Yeah, I think in the beginning I tried to do 2 weeks, 2 weeks.
That's a lot.
That was wild. That was like not possible. I was overworking myself. I was at the studio at the time, like at Salon, and I caught myself like trying to be in both places fully. So I was working like Monday to Friday, like tattooing, Monday to Friday there, and then coming to Berlin and also trying to tattoo Monday to Friday here, and traveling on the weekends. And it was insane.
Wow.
I was not okay. So like I tried to get less into the traveling, then trying to space it more like 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's becoming a bit more like 3 weeks, a month, and trying to stay like 1 month in the same place. It's not a lot, but it does make a difference for me.
Better.
Yeah. And with the creativity, I think the greatest thing is like, if you think I'm part of 2 studios. So I have loads of colleagues doing loads of different works. And yeah, so I can take a lot of inspiration from my colleagues in Amsterdam, in the collective. And I can also take the inspirations from Berlin, and I can mix it up. And it would not be possible, I think. I mean, no, it is possible to do it in one town, of course, but with both is even better.
Yeah, that's your way, and I mean, you made the best out of it.
Yeah.
Which became very successful in quite a short amount of time, because like you started with very small tattoos, and nowadays you're doing complete back pieces every week.
Yeah.
What's the journey behind that?
Yeah, I think I always liked to do big projects. That was always a thing. I never really was so much into the tiny ones. And then I think I was always kind of pushing my customers to go a bit bigger. And then also pushing my designs to make sense as bigger designs.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's like maybe just a year and a half ago, not so much, that I posted like the first back piece project. And a very like cool customer of mine that we had already done her like a chest piece, both arms. She was the first one to go like, I want it.
Yeah,
Let's do it. And from that on, like, I loved it. First of all, like it's an intense tattoo session. I think it's not for everyone to enjoy it, because it makes me way more tired than when I do small tattoos. It causes more pain on the customer in a way, because it's longer hours. It's not an easy placement. You have to stretch a lot the skin or the weird position sometimes, but it's so satisfying.
I mean, your Instagram speaks for itself. It's very impressive.
And I love it. And yeah, because also my drawings are more detailed, and I like to work with the flow and like make it go from one place to the other and come back.
Mm-hmm.
It's perfect. So it makes more sense. I don't know, it was something somehow that just flew into it. Like I didn't like strategize or anything, but it just kept growing, and now I have no limits. So
And how did this flow and style develop?
I think before I was a bit more like with the botanicals, because I do botanical work, and I love the flowers and I like to study them. But I think in the beginning I was more stuck to what they are and what they should be. Mm-hmm. Like, these are their leaves, this is the way their stem is. And then with time, I think it's also with the repetition somehow. With the more I did them, the more I wanted to change them, and the more I felt comfortable with changing them. Until a point that I felt like I needed to change something, that it was a bit boring somehow to just do them always like too realistic somehow. And then I was just like having fun, I think, with the flow, and then thinking what I really like, which is like to capture the movement of the flowers, like the movement of the petals, the movement of the leaves,
Mhm.
but then go a bit more wild because then it goes out of the reality a little bit. And yeah, I guess some Art Nouveau inspirations in there as well. Yeah.
Big
Something like
inspiration,
that.
beautiful movement, definitely.
Yeah.
And what are you currently working on?
Currently, I think I was trying to, let me see even like, how can I go bigger? Like, a piece that like maybe would start more really from the leg and go all the way to the shoulder, or see like how can I just do different things with the body, because I don't know, I think for me now I'm really focused on like trying to create with the body, not so much just with a paper or a canvas, but like get some references of like, of course, like random bodies that I would always adapt to the costumer. But like think, yeah, I don't know, like how can I begin somewhere and create different lines and maybe end in the head, you know, not in the shoulder, or yeah, just try different ways.
It's a good idea.
I think it's fun and it's challenging. I don't know, like
It is, isn't it?
it's always challenging.
Yeah, plus the body's not flat, like you really embrace every shape and everybody's different.
Yeah, and like last week I did for a friend something on the neck. And then a few weeks ago I did also like one of the first projects, like getting some of the shoulder and going to the neck. So I think that is one thing, and maybe head soon, but I never tattooed the head, so I don't know.
It hurts
I don't know how that will be.
from both sides doing it, and yeah.
Yeah,
No, it's nice to do. Like, I mean, you don't have to stretch that much. That's the good part.
that's a good one.
But the thing is, like, since the brain is literally under the needle, whether you're getting tattooed, like you tattoo, like it's not a nice place because you see the face of your clients. It's like,
You can feel their pain like too much, I guess.
absolutely. But yeah, honestly, like it's worth it.
It's part of our job in a way to deal with the pain, I think. Like,
How do you deal with the pain?
I'm not so good. I feel really like I feel it. I feel the pain from my customers, and I don't like causing it to them. And I don't know. It gets me sometimes. Like I feel like, oh my god, should I? No, I don't know. Should I be doing this? But at the same time, I admire them a lot because we do all these big pieces. We do many hours, and most of them just take it like super well. And usually I feel that sometimes it's me asking for a break because I'm tired. And they are like, no, we can go. We can continue.
Damn.
So, but yeah, I'm lucky, I guess. I don't.
I'm gonna start my back soon, and I'm fucking scared, to be honest. So
Well, yeah, I would say get a tattoo that works fast, at least. So it doesn't, you don't have to suffer.
they're gonna be two on it. So yeah, I'm scared. I'm very scared.
Well, cool. Nice.
Do you do a lot of guest spots these days?
Lately, not that much, because it's kind of, my life is already slightly a little bit of a guest spot. If we're thinking about
My
it.
life is a guest spot.
My life is a guest spot. No, I'm all the time just, already dividing between Amsterdam and Berlin.
Yeah.
But I love doing, and every time I can, I try to add a little bit of guest spotting.
And where do you like to go?
I love to go to London. It's one of my favorites for sure. France is always nice. Paris, been a while, but it's one of the places I really like. But yeah, I don't know. I guess for me, guest spotting is always a special thing. Like, I think you meet so many new people. You meet so many new artists. And you get to have a glimpse on like how other people work, how another studio works, like what kind of lighting are they using, what kind of stencil machine, do they have something new? And I guess like my curious mind is always like, oh, actually they do, and then I want to have that one in my studio. Or I think like it's a very easy way to grow, to learn new stuff, I think.
And to make friends.
And to make friends, always.
Yeah.
Yes, I think if I think about my friend like network or my tattooers network, they were all based in guest spots.
Ah, cool.
Yeah,
So you have friends from all around the world
exactly.
directly.
And yeah, I remember like back in São Paulo when I started, I just always worked private. So I kind of started on my own. And then from home, I went to a private studio, just myself. And from there, like in that moment, that was the only way to learn, the only way to grow and make friends was guesting.
Mm-hmm.
So I always think that is like just the best way. You know, you don't have to necessarily, I mean, if you're comfortable working at home or in a private studio, the way, if you just like, you want to like learn a little bit here and there, but you don't want to join a big studio with 20 people, you can always guest.
It's a good balance. I'd
Yeah,
say.
try it out.
Yeah. I think every journey is different,
Yeah.
but it's very difficult to find its own and to find the good people as well, because like there is so many different people in the industry nowadays.
Yeah, sometimes you go to guest spots and it's not what you expected.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe the people are not as friendly or the studio is not as good.
What are the criteria to make a good guest spot in your eyes?
I think the studio, I mean, should have the basics, of course, but good lighting, very important. All the good supplies, because, I mean, you shouldn't be cheap on that. And people should be friendly. And I understand it's hard because people are like, most studios are having like different guests every week.
Mm.
And the people who actually are the residents in the studio are tired of it. So you cannot expect that they would be like really nice and really friendly and ask you to hang out like every time because they have their lives as well. But at the same time, I think like then you're having too much guests. Like if you go to a studio and nobody there is like interested in you, or at least you have a chat to look at your work, to maybe grab a beer, then there's something wrong. Then maybe they shouldn't have you there. Maybe I don't know. Like I think it's part of a guest spot.
I agree. But then what I really, really enjoy about the guest spots is like then to meet these people, see them all around the world, and to see them also on vacation outside of all these shops.
Yes, that's good.
Yeah.
That would be great.
How did you come up with tattooing? What did you do before?
Like I worked in fashion before, but it was all together. Like I think like me and tattooing was always like the story of course, kid that draws since very early. And then I drew also designs that my friend would get them tattooed when I was 16, 17. And then when I was 17, there was like a shop, a very shitty shop in the town I lived. And I don't know how I got there but I just started kind of like apprenticing there, but not really. But I was doing the drawings for the tattooer.
Okay.
And I would get like $20 per drawing. And it would be like Maori, mandalas, a phoenix, anything. But I would get to be at the same room as the tattooer. So I would like check it out. And so the first time I actually like got a tattoo machine in my hands, I was 17. Mm-hmm. But then after that, like I went to university, I studied fashion. And then I just came back to the tattooing, let's say when I was 19, 20. And then I got a tattoo from a tattooer that I actually admired in Rio. And she had the perfect studio for me. Like in that time, it was not like a studio owned by a bunch of men. It was not like intimidating, crazy street shop. She had like a private studio on a building in a nice neighborhood. Inside, it was all beautiful, full of her drawings on the wall. And I don't know, I felt like, wow, this exists. Like, I didn't know. I also just had no idea that was possible.
What was the picture you had of tattoo shops before the one you just described?
Yeah, it was just men-owned or men-only.
Hard rock and bikers.
Dragons and skulls and like face tattoo photos on the wall, or I don't know, like super, yeah, early 2000s, of course. There were definitely no women in that picture, like, and definitely not my style in a way, like, that I would never feel comfortable. And I'm glad I didn't do an apprenticeship in one of these shops. I think maybe it would have scared me away from it. Maybe I wouldn't have continued.
No, I understand. Yeah. Like, I mean, I did it, and
you're still here.
It was what it was. I would say it like this. And nowadays you're working in a super nice collective.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where there is many women working, very friendly, very cool people.
Yeah, and it's possible.
And it's possible.
Great. Yeah.
What's your experience there?
Well, the collective in Amsterdam, it was a great timing, I think, for me. So some friends of mine had just made it, so I was not part of like the conception of it, but they had just organized it. All of them like left shops kind of at the same time, and they created this space as a collective. So fully sharing all the costs, and with the goal of just like having a really nice space to work and receiving some guests, like not all the time, not every week, just in a more chill vibe. And it was really in the timing that I was also having trouble with the studio I was working with, especially because of my like guesting all the time, or like going to Berlin all the time, and high percentages that I don't agree with. So it was the perfect timing, and they were my friends. So I joined, and yeah, it's the best. Like, we have such an easy setup, I think, and everybody has a very similar vibe. It goes very naturally. That one is more in charge of watering the plants. The other is more in charge of the digital things, of posting on Instagram. The other is more in charge of organizing the guests. And it kind of goes.
Very community driven.
Totally. But we don't, I mean, it's kind of a miracle, I don't know, but we never really needed to set specific rules and times and like functions, I don't know. And it works.
And what would be a good tip for owners that do not have this?
In which sense? Like,
to make this work, to apply what you're saying to other shops?
In collectives, or no?
I'm gonna put it like this: to improve the scene, the current scene.
Well, I think first, I don't know. I don't agree with like the percentage situation, because I think, I mean, it doesn't really like how to say it, like, but you should just have either a flat rate for using the space, or a rent based, including all the things that you want to put there. So even if it's like a more like traditional tattoo shop, and you want to include there like management, you want to include cleaning, you want to include maybe Instagram promotion, but I don't think this is related to a percentage of someone's work. I don't know. I think it's weird to continue with that.
I agree.
I think you should just make a calculation that it's fair and that includes all the costs and may include profit as well, but it should be fair to both parts. And I think, yeah, the way many studios go nowadays is not really fair.
Do you think like this goes as that many people do own their own private shops nowadays? Kind of like tattoo artists like fleeing from street shops to open their own space?
Absolutely. And you lose, I mean, me, and like I worked in a private space for many years, and I liked it back then, but I didn't also have much comparison. And nowadays I'm much happier in a collective or in a rent-based studio. Like I think it's much better to have colleagues. It's much better to have other artists. The exchange and the growth is so much better. But that doesn't mean you have to like give a slice of your work that is so big. Like it can be more fair, can be more proportional.